cameras and
Yep,
Yep.
we're live, we're on, and y'all ready to go. Yep, whenever you're ready, Ms. Williams.
this meeting is officially open, and good evening to the North Rock School District Board meeting where Dr. Paluski is the proud superintendent of this district. At this time, Ms. Colquitt, would you please call the roll?
Mrs. Temple, Mrs. Williams.
Here.
Ms. Person West.
Present.
Dr. Redders. Ms. McLean.
Here.
Ms. Wampcombe.
Here.
And Mr. Steele.
Would you please stand? The superintendent will give the salute to the flag.
What an honor. I pledge allegiance
To the flag
of the
United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Do you have anyone here?
No wife, no mom, no dad.
At this
My
time,
mom is watching.
Ms. Walker will do the mission and vision statement.
The mission is the North Warwick School District and the community will provide for achievement, accountability, acceptance, and the necessary assets in the pursuit of each student's educational success. The vision statement is world-class schools for world-class students.
Thank you. Dr. Paluska for the special recognition.
Yes, ma'am. I'll invite. Madam President, members of our Board of Education, we have one special recognition tonight, and I will honor to turn it over to Dr. Nickerson to announce what this very special monumental occasion is.
I am super excited because I've been working with a group of wonderful ladies for in the spring semester. Our future leaders, they're our Aspiring Leadership Academy members, and I'm excited today to introduce them because they've worked so hard. It's our first cohort. Mm-hmm. And we've worked all year. Dr. Paluski has had an opportunity to work with them. Everybody on our executive leadership team has had time with them. And I'm excited because they're moving and shaking. And so I'm going to introduce each one of them, and I'll give them an opportunity to just to tell you a little bit about the work that they've been doing. Our first team member is Natalie Rhodes Warren.
Good evening to Dr. Paluski, to Dr. Nickerson, the entire board, and everyone here. It has been an absolute pleasure, an absolute joy to be a part of this program. I've learned a lot, enjoyed working with my colleagues, got to know them a little bit better, but just dissecting each piece of those, the domains, it was very helpful. So I appreciate your time and your devotion for us because we really enjoyed it all. So thank you.
And congratulations. We just stand there. Mm-hmm.
Just like your mama.
Our next candidate is Elizabeth Jackson. You can, yeah.
Okay. Good evening, Madam President, board members, Dr. Nickerson, Dr. Paluski. My name is Elizabeth Jackson, and I'm here to share with you my experience in the Aspiring Leader cohort. I've been at Glenview Elementary for 8 years, and I've been developing myself as a leader since that time. I serve on many committees, and I'm grateful for the support of my schools and its administrators that have granted me the opportunities to develop these skills. However, there is something powerful about a group of people with a shared purpose coming together and learning from one another. The Aspiring Leaders cohort helped me in several ways professionally. The first was the focus of understanding of who I am as a leader through writing a bio and an elevator speech. This required deep reflection about who I am, what I can offer a school, and how my experiences have prepared me to do that. The second was hearing the different perspectives of my peers. Listening to understand is an essential skill of a leader. In this cohort, Dr. Nickerson challenged each of us in our responses to go deeper, address underlying issues, and acknowledge both the short and long-term consequences of our responses. Through these discussions and activities, I learned different ways to problem solve, which questions to ask, and how and who to accomplish them. The guest speakers served as another way to develop myself professionally. It's essential to have an understanding of how an organization functions. As teachers, we're mainly focused on the school level. As administrators, we must understand the roles and responsibilities of the district, how it functions, funding, hiring, new legislation being passed, and many other things. Each guest speaker provided insight into the responsibilities of their job and how their job functions in the district. This gave me a deeper understanding of how each of these roles impact the daily function of our school. The Aspiring Leaders cohort helped to build my confidence, examine myself as a leader, develop an understanding of how a school district functions, and my role as a leader within the school district. It provided me an opportunity to work alongside other future leaders and learn from their experiences and perspectives. Because of this experience, my confidence in who I am as a leader and what I have to offer to a school has grown immensely. I'm looking forward to the next step in my leadership journey. Thank you, Dr. Nickerson.
All right. Yay.
Did amazing. Did amazing. And they all were really great. They're all really great deep thinkers. My next candidate is Marla Thompson.
Good evening, board members, Dr. Paluski and Dr. Nickerson. I appreciate being here. I'm so honored to be a recipient of the first cohort of the Aspiring Leadership Academy. So this is a big honor and very exciting. And I just want to say thank you to everybody who was committed to this program. I am honored to be a part of a school district that believes in investing in their educators and growing their own. So thank you so much for that opportunity. During our cohort, we had the opportunity to learn from several of the most skilled and experienced leaders in our district, and that was so inspiring. We had the opportunity to conduct mock interviews and hone in on those skills and become better for future interviews, and it really broadened my perspective of different types of leadership roles that I could pursue in the district. And then also I just really enjoyed getting to know the ladies that were in the cohort with me and talk about different case studies and different real world scenarios so we can be well-rounded when we do face those challenges that will arise. So thank you for the opportunity, and also anybody who wants to be a leader in North Little Rock School District, I highly advise that you apply for the second cohort because I promise you, you will grow professionally. So thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you, thank you. Our next candidate is Jasmine Davis.
I just want to thank the North Little Rock School District for this opportunity, and I look forward to putting all the skills that I learned to use.
Oh, okay.
Our next candidate is Ms. Micah Bishop.
Good evening. I would just like to thank everyone that was committed to this program for investing in the leaders and growing them from within. It's really appreciative. Thank you.
All right. Great.
Our next candidate is Myra Smith.
Good evening. So my name is Myra Smith, and I just wanted to say that I've been in education for 20 years, and the past 2 years that I've spent in the North Little Rock School District, I've grown more than in all those previous years combined, and I attribute that to this district investing and growing their own and the dedication that they've shown with the Aspiring Leader Academy and in us. I've benefited from this by being able to collaborate with my fellow cohort members, and I just wanted to say that next year I'll be serving as Dean of Students at Ridge Road, and that was the first interview that I walked into feeling like I knew what I was talking about. I was able to sell myself. I was able to speak to my strengths and not be shy about it. And I just appreciate Dr. Nickerson and Dr. Paluski and everything that y'all done for us. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. You're amazing. And our next candidate is Andrea Robertson.
Good evening to the North Little Rock School Board, Dr. Paluski, Dr. Nickerson. My name is Andrea Robertson, and this is my 29th year as an educator. I have grown tremendously from this experience, being able to share my own experiences, being able to collaborate with my cohort to understand their perspective, to reflect on my own perspective, to gain insight on who I am personally as a leader and what I bring to the table as a leader. I feel that the experience has made me more confident going into a leadership position, and I appreciate that North Little Rock School District gave me the opportunity to be able to grow within their own district. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Dr. P, did we have any principals representing the schools that they could come up? Or parents, supporters who came to support them? Come on. Do we have anyone in the audience who came to support anyone that's up here? We'll all be on YouTube this evening. Anyone else?
All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. All right.
Thank you, and congratulations for the profound words that you gave the North Rock School District. Really wonderful, and thank you. And thank you for the awesome work that you did and that you're going to do. At this time, we will have executive closed session. Executive closed session per North Little Rock School District Policy 1.14A, stating that private or closed discussions by the board may occur as part of a regular or special board meeting. Executive sessions may be held only for the purpose of considering employment, appointment, promotion, demotion, discipline of the resignation of an employee, or to discuss the matters of pupil punishment if requested by the parent or legal guardian. No resolution, agreement, or motion considered in executive session shall be legally binding unless the board reconvenes in the public session and present the item for the vote of the membership. Further, Arkansas Code Title 21, Chapter 19, Section 106.2 states, this specific purpose of the executive session shall be announced in public before going into executive session. Please join me in executive session for the discussion of the following matters: employment, appointment, promotion, demotion, discipline, or the resignation of an employee. Good evening. Citizens who desire to speak during public comments must sign in prior and will be called to the podium. Public comments is not a question and answer period, and as such, school board members and the superintendent do not respond to public comments during a meeting. Further, citizens will have no more than 3 minutes to speak per Arkansas Code 6-13-619. Will not be allowed to make comments that shall prejudice the board of directors concerning a student or personnel matters that could come before the board for disciplinary or employment consideration, or that it is in conflict with other district policy of law. This evening, we have Ms. Elizabeth Huggins to come before us. I called you Elizabeth. Is Elizabeth?
Elizabeth.
Okay.
That's okay, my whole life.
You got the timer?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
You doing time? Okay.
Whenever she's ready.
Good evening. My name is Elizabeth Huggins. I'm a dyslexia therapist and an educational advocate. Yesterday was Juneteenth, a day to celebrate freedom from slavery. Frederick Douglass said, "Once you learn to read, you will be forever free." Denying access to literacy is one way that we enslave people. Literacy is our greatest civil right because it ensures that people have access to employment, housing, medical care, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I spent my Juneteenth teaching kids how to read, kids that other districts have thrown away. You are voting tonight to continue to deny access to literacy for the students of this district by adopting Read 180. I understand that it is on the approved list from DESE. Solution Tree is also one of their top vendors, and we've seen how that has panned out recently. There are better solutions, including using a curriculum already in place for Tier 2 instruction. Read 180 might be good for the adults because of the ease of implementation, but this decision is not student-focused. It is adult-focused. Maybe you've never had a child who struggled with reading, and maybe you've never had a child subjected to a program that data says that it's not only helpful, but is often detrimental. Maybe you didn't have a child you had to fight for just for the school to teach him to read. But I do, and when he was finally given the appropriate instruction, finally in high school, it changed his trajectory. He was no longer settling for a menial job. And in fact, he will graduate with a college degree in December. You have over 5,000, probably close to 6,000 students in this district who are not reading on grade level. That's almost 6,000 students you are setting up for failure. 6,000 adults stuck in low-wage jobs, on government assistance, in jail, on the streets. And you are responsible for these lives. Reading is a civil right. And imagine where you would be today if that was taken away from you. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, Dr. Paluski.
Yes, ma'am. The first would be board member and superintendent involvement. So 8.1 is board member involvement. Which way would you like to start, Madam
Ms.
President?
Walker.
Ma'am, I'm all set. I'm unprepared for that. I don't remember what I've done. I'm sorry. I've been busy.
Okay,
I've done it
what
all.
about you? Now I was saying, is you next?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm about to go. Just reminding everybody that we're gearing up. We need some backpacks and school supplies. They don't know it yet, but we're going to try to see if our board members will help stuff backpacks and school supplies. We're going to figure that out. But we definitely need composition tablets and pencils, pens, and crayons, color pencils, and glue sticks for sure. So if you have clear mesh backpacks, or when you find a little sale, or you pick up an extra pack of pencils or pens, we should definitely appreciate it. Just leave it at the front desk. They'll know who to get it to. And then also I want to make mention that the 26th of June at the Clinton Library, there's going to be a talk. My great uncle Gerald Person, one of the North Little Rock Six, will be in town, and he is going to do a presentation along with the rest of the remaining North Little Rock Six members. And then it's also going to be a lady here from New Orleans that's part of the New Orleans Four. So if you need that link to register, let me know. It's not filled yet, but if you want that link, I can send it to you. But I would definitely urge everyone, if you can, to make sure that you participate. It is a virtual option available for that too.
Thank you. Ms. McLean?
Yes, on May 23rd, I went to Lakewood 5th grade graduation. My grandson Palmer graduated. And that night, we had the dinner for our retiring teachers from the North Little Rock School District. It was absolutely lovely. You would not have recognized this room right here. It was just awesome. We had wood-burning fireplaces going on all the screens. The mood was set by these ladies from HR that just did a fantastic job. So thank you very much for that. It was wonderful. Went to graduation. North Little Rock High School graduation on May 28th, and it was very nice and wonderful too, and lots of parents, happy parents and families and guardians and family members and friends. And then I went to the North Little Rock Middle School 8th grade graduation on May 29th, which was at the North Little Rock High School Theater. It was done in 2 different groupings because we have so many of them, and we had lots of parents and family there also that were proud of their graduates.
Mr. Steele?
Yes, thank you. I, as well, thought the graduation was excellent this year. Absolutely, everybody was happy. I think excited about it. I think the people were excited. It was well organized, well put together. I think people appreciated really receiving their diplomas from their principal and superintendent. I thought that was well received. I did get a couple of comments about when we're going to move it back to North Little Rock. And I didn't say anything about the possibility of that, but I did hear that. And said, well, this is good, but when are we going to move it back to North Little Rock? I assume they were talking about the arena, but I think that people want to see that. Attended 7th Street, most of their end of the year activities. And also we had a jamboree, Mr. Noble. It was very well attended. I was really surprised that many people came out for basketball during the summer. It's a great event. Thank you.
Okay. I had the opportunity to come to the teacher's retirement. I certainly want to thank HR's staff for a marvelous. The food was par excellent, and the decoration, you could not imagine how this place looked in here. And the graduation was very nice. And Mr. Steele, Dr. Paluski is working on a plan for next year for the graduation. Aren't you, Dr. Paluski?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then the job fair, believe it or not, we had a lot of applicants to come in that was held at the North Rock High School, and all the principals were on site. Every department was on site, and we certainly want to thank you all for the camaraderie that you had, the cheerfulness that you had, the transportation, special services, the food. Every department was represented for the job fair, so there was no excuses for anybody not having a job. And also, I went to 2 graduations, 1 at Meadow Park and 3 at Glenview. And that was a good ending of the summer. And today is the longest day of the year, first day of summer, so we'll be getting out at daylight. Dr. Paluski?
That was funny, Ms. Williams. That was funny. Okay, I'll go quickly. On May 17th, I had the honor to attend the Wildcat Foundation golf event, and specifically, I got to serve lunch. And I want to thank Mr. Logan. The superintendent's office donated pulled pork from our smoker, and I had the honor and the privilege to serve lunch with 4 lovely ladies from the graduating class of 1964 from Old Main. So I do want to shout out to them.
I ate some of that pork. I forgot I was there too.
Yeah,
It was awesome.
We're getting quite a reputation about smoking in school in North Little Rock. Never mind. So because there was an article that, hang on.
Cut the mic.
I also want to say about the retirement dinner, and I want to thank Mr. Smith, Sonia D., the entire HR department, their vision of bringing a dinner, a formal type dinner, to our honorees. So I want to honor them as our honorees, and it was a fabulous.
Very nice, very nice.
I concur about graduation. I think it's been very successful. I'm very proud of the changes that we keep making at graduation, and we are having a discussion on how could we bring it back to North Little Rock. As everybody knows, and just an update that the air should be fully functioning in our basketball arena in about the next couple weeks. So maybe that's a possibility to bring it back if we can't go to Simmons. So more on that as we go forward, as we survey our students and our parents. 8th grade graduation as well that I attended. And I've also attended several Center of Excellence parent meetings that Dr. St. Louis has been holding for our parents as she's the interim principal. So I've been at most of those there to support her and help her and answer questions during the transition. I think it's going well. Attended the school law conference on June the 4th. Had an awesome opportunity to represent our school district at a KATV interview to promote our job fair that came out the following week. I was also honored on June the 10th to be selected among a small group of superintendents to meet with our governor and our Secretary of Leva and Education to talk about cell phone use in schools and the impact that cell phones are having on mental health in the country. And you also noticed that the Surgeon General just came out about that, about the impact. And I do believe that the LA Unified School District, their superintendent, Roberto Cavallo, has banned, or they're in the process of banning cell phone use as it relates to that. I think this is a worthy discussion that we need to keep having here about the impact of social media on our youth. Also, I had the opportunity to take a tour of Arkansas Game and Fish and continue our partnership with them, so I'm excited about that. Also, I do want to just salute our Board of Education. I'm not sure if you've recognized that there are a ton of employees at the annex that have large smiles on their faces. This past couple weeks, we've started to move to Highway 161, their new building, and I will say it is the nicest building, administration building, in the North Little Rock School District, and it's for those employees. So if you get a chance, please stop out. They're going to continue moving all week, but they're very excited about their new space. Our job fair on the 12th, and last, I had the opportunity to recently meet with Mrs. Shanna Robinson. She is the COO of the Boy Scouts of America, and we're talking about how do we partner and how do we get our youth outside. I'll be visiting the Camp Rockefeller, which is it's in Damascus, I believe. They own over 30,000 acres, so we're trying to plan how maybe all of our 5th graders get to go have an overnight or an outdoor education experience in partnership with Game and Fish, something our youth traditionally don't get the opportunity to be exposed to. Thank you, Madam President.
Okay, and on that same note, Dr. Pulaski, it usually happens that at the beginning of every year you would always have a scout representative to visit every elementary school.
We do, and they have a flyer that we distribute as part of a community communication. We do have that information that Mr. Barnes will also include. Yes, ma'am.
At this time, Mr. Steele, legislative.
Thank you, Madam President. We had a special session. You'll see the two main bills on your desk. House Bill 1001 that is now an act reduced the state income tax to individuals and to transfer the surplus funds to what's called a reserve fund, a set-aside fund. Arkansas has done very well economically. The fund continues to grow. They want to set it aside. There's been some talk about major economic development efforts to recruit industry, but it's going to be used in several capacities. However, the fund will continue to grow and draw interest. The next one, you're probably a little bit more interested, more directly related to education funding, is House Bill 1002, which is the homestead personal property tax. A lot of questions were asked about how that would possibly impact education funding, and it will not impact education funding. I think I've heard that question asked numerous times. If you're talking about anything, including a millage, you can tell people, well, your personal property taxes is not going to be as much as it's been in the past because of this legislation, so that will provide some relief to all Arkansans.
That's great.
Very good.
That's all we had. Unless you want me to discuss the game and fish budget, I'm done. Thank you.
And thank you, Mrs. Steele. At this time, there is not a 10.1 or a 10.2, but we do have an 11.1 informational item.
Yes,
Dr.
ma'am.
Paluski?
Yes, ma'am. We'll get started with our information items. Our first information item is 11.1, and this is our screener data overview. So our ask 2 of our 3 dynamic literacy team to join us, which is Ms. Pam Chris, our coordinator of early childhood and school readiness, and Ms. Carmen Langston, our coordinator of elementary and integrated literacy. So they are no strangers to their expertise of talking about literacy in the school district, and excited to share the data with us. So, colleagues, welcome.
Good evening. I guess I could start. I will start. My name is Pamela Chris. I am, again, as Dr. Paluski said, the coordinator of early childhood and school readiness. I'm gonna share with you all the K-2 data. The purpose of this presentation is to provide the board, the community, an overview of the district's K-5 screener data. Before I get started, I would just always like starting with research, science of reading research. We all know that learning to read is very complex. It's not. Many people think that reading is simple, but it's not, because our brains were not wired to read. So therefore, we have to form those pathways in our brain. And this is done by teachers teaching explicit, systematic phonemic awareness and phonics. So if you look at this is called Scarborough's reading rope, and it has 2 parts. It has a bottom part and a top part. The bottom part in K2 is where we want our students. This is the part with the word recognition, where, again, the phonemic awareness and the phonics, we want this bottom part mastered. So we really focus a lot in K2 on the bottom half of Scarborough's rope. Not, saying we touch the top part, which Ms. Carmen Langston will talk about that more, but the teachers in K2 do a lot of the heavy lifting there. The main thing we want is to get our students reading, and so that's why the bottom half of the rope, we really want it mastered by the time students leave K2. And at each grade level, there's an expectation for students to master certain phonics syllable types.
This infographic just kind of shows you a little bit about the types of assessments that we give to our students. So starting out with the screeners, which is what we're going to talk about tonight. And if you're looking at the lady, she's having a little trouble getting her jeans on. So if you think about your weight, sometimes that can sort of tell you that there's maybe something not quite right with your body. I like to think of it more about, you go into the doctor and you get blood work, and they run that to see if there's anything that doesn't look quite right, and then you may have to go back for some further testing if something doesn't look the way that it should. So we give our screeners just to see, is there any indication here that a student may have trouble with reading? And if so, then we can do some further assessments that are diagnostic to let us know what it is that they need to work on. As we are working with them, then we continue to progress monitor to see how is it working, how's it going, do we need to adjust, do we need to keep on, or is the student ready to come out of some type of intervention and work on new skills?
I put this slide in. I have already presented on the early childhood data, but this is the end of the year data with pre-K. So I just wanted to show just that progression, that vertical progression, just to show that our pre-K 4 students are still going into kindergarten ready. I often say, again, we have to have those preventative measures, otherwise we're going to always focus on that intervention piece. So pre-K students are going into kindergarten with those foundational skills they need. So now I'm going to go ahead and talk about the K2 literacy screeners. Just giving you all a snapshot before I even get into the data, just going over the different types of assessments, the screeners that we teachers administer to students. The first one is called the RAN screener, and it's just like a color test. The students read or name all the colors on the paper. Sounds pretty simple, but there is, I always tell teachers, there's a method to that madness. When students are very slow in naming the colors, it could actually, indicate that there's a processing problem, that there's going to be a fluency issue. So the students see it as colors, the teachers may see it as colors, but as I always tell teachers, there's a method to the madness. So no matter which screener that they give students, it's very important that teachers understand the purpose and the outcome for students that we're looking for that. Phonological awareness screener, we give the pass. On phonological awareness, there are like 4 phonemic awareness skills that we test. This is one of the most important tests that we actually give to our K2 students. The reason I say this is because phonemic awareness is the biggest predictor if a student is going to be able to read, especially when it comes to our first grade, that phonemic segmentation, and that is when you're just going at, when they're just breaking the sounds, apart. That is really important. So, when we're looking at this data, that's going to give us the biggest bang for our buck with teachers looking at the data from this and then aligning that with the standards with the phonemic awareness test. We also give the core phonics. This is our phonics piece. In phonics, there are 6 syllable types that we want our K2 students to master. Again, we have grade level standards that in each grade level that students need to be able to master. And this is just help teachers evaluate their reading decoding skills. We really have to pay close attention to the phonological awareness and that core phonics screener, especially with the New Learns Act, because our first grade students, we have to really, those will be the first students that will be impacted by the Learns Act in 25-26. So we really want to look at that data in progress monitor, so be very purposeful on how we use the data. We always never separate reading from writing. So the teachers also give the DSA, and that's just the stage of spelling development. It should be closely connected. So if a student is reading on one level, their writing should be on the same level. And the OR reading fluency is another one with OR, and it's for students in 1st and 2nd grade. This is a piece that we've been missing, not only in North Little Rock School District, but probably around Arkansas and probably, I'm going to say, the United States. We don't really understand how important fluency is in reading and how it can really impact a student's comprehension, especially if they're reading too slow. So we need to know how to be able to go in and offer those interventions if they are having problems with fluency. So the focus is going to be on the core phonics data. That's that phonics data. Why am I focusing on that? I put this quote in there. There is no comprehension strategy powerful enough to compensate for the inability to read the words. That means you could teach me main idea all day long, but if I can't read the words off the page or lift those words off the page, it does nothing for me. So that's why we want our K2 students to really come out with that bottom half of the rope, mastering those skills. In the literacy screening data, this here is just a snapshot of it. 64% of our kindergarten students are reading. I put on here CVC. What that means is they're reading words that has a vowel, short vowel, and a consonant. And so, you know, that could be like cat, dog, but we really want them to read, and I'm going to use the word automatic or to automaticity. That means when they see a word, they read the word. With just that comes along again with practicing and instruction in the classroom. 78% of our first grade students, remember, this is the grade that we really have to, we're going to look at all the grades, but this is the grade that's going to be very impacted, heavily impacted with the new LEARNS Act in 25-26. 62% of our first grade students are in the letter naming spelling stage of their spelling, and you see that actually aligns with their reading. And 54% of second grade students are proficient in reading words with short vowels, blends, digraphs, long vowels, and R-control vowels. So I have seen a jump in the percentages. When I first started, you know, it was not this high, but I have actually seen now that the students, the teachers are actually, they're in the classroom, they're teaching those signs of reading best practices in the classroom. So what does this tell us? The data is telling us that our students are reading. In the kindergarten literacy screener data, as I don't have to, you all have the PowerPoint, but you can see starting from the beginning of the year to the end of the year with the letter ID and sounds, they grew to the point to where they should be in kindergarten. And this is an area where I tell kindergarten teachers, no students should come out of kindergarten not knowing the letters and letter sounds, writing their name. There are just certain SMART goals that I tell them. We're going to progress monitor that. Not one student in kindergarten should leave out without knowing this information here. And what impacted the data? We have pre-K students entering kindergarten with this foundational knowledge. Teachers using that HQIM, that foundations. All leaders and K2 teachers receive Wilson Phonics Foundations training from the company. So that was a big plus. Kindergarten, this just really, I'm going to say bless my heart. When you look at this, because we have had so many kindergarten students leaving kindergarten not on this level, reading. So we have those decodable books in the classroom. At the beginning of the year, 19% came into kindergarten, and that's right, because now the way it's set up, kindergarten, you could come in with a clean slate, but we don't want our students to come in with a clean slate. We want to give them that opportunity where they will be able to compete with any other kindergarten at any other school, at any other district. So we go right in with the instruction and the planning and the screening of the assessment to see where we need to go with that. At the end of the year, 62% of our kindergarten students are leaving knowing how to read CVC words. Remember, those are those short vowel words. Why are you focusing? Somebody could say, Ms. Chris, why are you focusing on CVC words? One, it's their standard. Two, most of our English word comprise of some type of CVC short vowel pattern. Whether we go into multisyllabic words, words with more than one syllable, but most of our words comprise of CVC words. First grade, again, you all can see, and it's the same thing with the CVC, the letter ID and sounds. The end of the year, according to the screener data, 78% of our first grade students left reading CVC words. Now there's more on their standards that they need to master, but we're looking at the CVC word, because if they could go into second grade, this percentage of our North Little Rock School District students reading CVC words, second grade can pick up that and keep running with the ball running with the skills that they're going to need. First grade, again, with the encoding, we don't want to leave out writing with that. So 62%, again, it aligns greatly with their reading. And when you look at the second grade data, same thing, the consonant blends, short vowels. When I first came here too and I looked at the data, I had to go back and look at it. Second grade was that grade that I kept having to ask the question, what is happening in second grade? Well, if first grade is not doing what it needs to do, kindergarten is not doing what it should do, then second grade is going to be impacted. Because I always tell teachers, Second grade is not really second grade, it's KN1 and pre-K in some cases. So, but they're leaving with the consonant blends, short vowels, digraphs, R control vowels, and long vowel sounds. This is impacted by the data. Teachers have to upload Progress Monitor monthly, and that data is looked at. I mean, Dr. Paluski can look at it. Anyone have the opportunity to look at this data. School leaders taking it into PLCs, really looking at the data to say, if this student is not growing, what's the root cause? How are we going to move this student to get to grade level mastery? We also did we did walks with ADE, collaborative instructional walks, so we could give them feedback and saying, you know what, you're doing too much of the heavy lifting. You need to let the students do some of the lifting. The students are just sitting there. We need to let students talk. So we started having those type of conversations. And then small group instruction and progress monitoring, that is the key, a big key, because if progress monitoring is not going on, as Carmen talked about with the screeners, I could keep gaining weight all day long, but if I'm not progressing it, then it doesn't do me any good. So the next steps for leaders and teachers, I'm just going to read just a few of these. Strengthen Tier 1 instruction. That is something we want to keep our eye on, because if we do not, then that RTI pyramid or triangle, it's going to be inverted. So that's why we're teaching so heavily to our kids in the bottom half, but everybody should receive grade level instruction. And then just continue the PLCs, allowing those 4 PLCs to guide our instruction. And use the gradual release model to ensure students are doing the heavy lifting and being risk takers, and allow students plenty of opportunities to read connected and decodable text. Just some of the things that I've done: facilitated PLCs, focused on data analysis, supported literacy coaches, instructional walks, provided sound wall training, provided RISE refresher training, and provided fluency training for K-2 teachers in the district.
All right, my name is Carmen Langston. Like Dr. Paluski said, I'm the coordinator of elementary reading and integrated literacy, and I primarily support grades 3 through 5. So that is what I'm going to be presenting on. In grades 3 through 5, we do not have as many screeners that we have to give, but we give our students the ORF, the Oral Reading Fluency Assessment, and the DSA, the Developmental Spelling Analysis. So as we give this, again, these are our screeners to indicate if there are any problems that we see, and if we do, then we will give some further assessments that you also saw reflected on the K-2 side. So the oral reading fluency assesses the student's reading rate and the accuracy. So how many words correct per minute is a student reading? And there are benchmarks of words correct per minute that they should be reading, and accuracy percentages that they should be meeting over the course of the year. And I'll show those to you in just a minute. Students are screened 3 times a year, so at the beginning, middle, and end. If you're looking at our acronyms and you keep seeing BOY and it looks like boy, then just stands for beginning of year, MOY, middle of year, and so forth. So if that was confusing, that's what that is. If a student, again, does not meet that grade level benchmark, then they would be further assessed, and any of this data is used to formulate our reading groups or our intervention groups so that students will get exactly what they need from the teacher. So if they're on grade level, we push them. If they're below grade level, we give them the interventions that they need. Those benchmarks do increase over time, so I may be asked to read 60 words per minute at the beginning of the year, but by the end of the year, I may be asked to read 95. So those will increase. And then there is research to support that oral reading fluency is directly correlated with reading comprehension. So like Pam was saying earlier, if I'm reading very slowly, then a lot of my working memory is being used up, focused on just reading those words, and I can't really attend to what is happening in the story. So this is our screener data just as a whole snapshot. So if we're looking at this, this is for the ORF, the oral reading fluency. And the orange column is going to show you where our students were reading on grade level from the beginning of the year. And then I guess you could call that the lighter orange color is at the end of the year. So as you can see, 3rd grade came in at the highest to start. And we didn't see as much growth as we would like from that particular grade level. We saw more growth in grades 4 and 5. And then just keep in mind that, like I said, those benchmarks do grow over time. So on the table on the right, it shows that at the beginning of the year, a third grader should have read 70 words correct per minute, but by the end of the year, they would need to read 100 words correct per minute in order to meet that benchmark or grade level standard. So I just also wanted to note that our students in grades K through 3 receive their phonics instruction with our program Foundations. And then when they transition into the 4th and 5th grade, their phonics instruction or word study instruction comes from a program called UFLI, UFLI, University of Florida Literacy Institute. So they do transition there, and in 4th and 5th grade, they focus on, or they have different standards. So they're not so much focused on the lifting of the words from the page, the decoding piece, sounding out words. It really transitions more into the reading comprehension piece, but we still support them with the word study as well. There is also a link on this slide where you can look at the data by school. If you want to click on that, you can see how each school progressed. This is looking at just 3rd grade. So again, this is just another way to look at it, the same types of tables that we just looked at, but in our pie chart here. So 3rd grade, we came in, 47.5 students were reading on grade level according to the oral reading fluency, and by the end of the year, they were at 48%. However, what you can also notice is that we had 41.6 who were reading below grade level, and we reduced that to 39, and you can see that the yellow increased. So that yellow is our sum risk category. So where we didn't see the amount of growth that we might have liked to, we do see that students are still moving and progressing. In our 4th grade, we had those students move in at 34.8% reading on grade level and ending the year at 44% on grade level. So about a 10-point increase there. And then you also see our red column is reduced and our section of the pie chart for the yellow is reduced. So that's good. That means we're moving across the board in all areas. And then lastly, our 5th grade, at the beginning of the year, we see a lot more red than we had. These are our students that we're still working with, obviously, and they're going to be transitioning into the middle school next year. But we started the year at 29.4 and ended the year at 39%. So another increase of about 10 percentile points. So as far as what impacted the data to get the growth that we were able to receive, that is coming from mainly teachers delivering that small group instruction. So those students are receiving the instruction that's aligned to their needs. So if it be reading comprehension that they're needing, then they will work on that in a reading group. If they need interventions, then that's what they will receive. We do have decodable readers for upper grades as well. So those decodable readers even have multisyllabic words for those students who still need that intervention, but they don't look like baby books for what a child would think of as a baby book. But they still support the needs that these students have. So as far as the next step for leaders and teachers, what we would like to see happen, we did see a need for reading fluency training in our district because of the data that you just saw. So in response to that, we delivered a reading fluency training for all of our 3rd through 5th grade teachers, and Pam facilitated one for our lower grade teachers as well. And we would like to, through that training, for them to realize we need to increase the amount of time that students spend reading. So not my teacher reading to me sitting down with a book and reading, whether that be with a partner, with a teacher, or even just independent reading. So we want to do that at school and at home. So we definitely are reaching out to parents and letting you guys know, especially now that it's summer, get your kids enrolled in some of those summer reading programs at the library. Implementing reading fluency folders for students to practice repeated reading was something that was a part of that training as well. That will be completely new for our 3rd through 5th grade students. We have not been doing that in the past, so that would be a new piece that we'll implement next year. Teachers were also provided with a coaching document to coach students in their reading fluency. So if I'm listening to a child read as a teacher and I know I need to give them some sort of feedback to improve their fluency, I may not necessarily know what to say. So I've given them a document of things that they can say to give feedback to that student that will help them to improve. So it's just a little cheat sheet for a teacher to carry around and be able to give that important feedback to our kids. We will also ask that they use the materials that are provided from the North Little Rock Pacing Guide and adhere to the structured literacy block that we wrote last year and rolled out in June. For our district support, Pam talked to you about some of the things that we have done throughout the year, and then these things are more what we will be looking to roll out for next year. So we will continue to walk with principals, but we're going to focus more on that structured literacy block. We have a look for's checklist, and we would like to work with principals on that so they know exactly what they should be seeing during literacy instruction, and they can quickly give that back to a teacher, and anything that wasn't checked on the checklist, myself as a teacher, I can see what I didn't get checked, and I know that's the area that I need to emphasize or focus on next time. I would like for them to continue that reading fluency training. We're going to be doing that again for new hires in August. So if you're a new teacher, you will get that training in August after you get hired, and you won't go into the classroom not knowing the things that we need to focus on. Our coaches, we want to ensure that they're working with our teachers on responding to their data and ensuring that all of our teachers have the materials that they need for the students. So if you're missing something out of one of your kits, to be sure and let us know so that we can get you what you need to do your instruction. And lastly, if anybody needs us to come out and model reading fluency lesson components, we are happy to do so. Either Pam or I will be glad to come out, and of course we also work with the literacy coaches in those buildings as well. All right, any questions?
Thank you. Good presentation. Just a couple of questions. Ms. Langston, when you're teaching that grade 3 through 5, that's critical. So you should see some growth because they're starting to comprehend a little better, get more comfortable with reading. Are you teaching at that level to visually identify words or sound them out?
Both. So it's just according to what the standards are, what grade level it is, and then also where the child is. So we look at that data. Some students are still in that sound out stage, and if they are, that's where we will meet them. However, the goal is that it will become a sight word, which is what we call orthographic mapping. So this is not a sight word like you would think of as like was, the, is. Those are traditionally what we used to call sight words, but now what's we've learned through reading research is that after a student has sounded out a word or decoded a word up to around 4 times, that should become a sight word then. So they know it as soon as they see it. They know it as well as they know their own name. That's what we're looking for. That's what the goal should be.
And I guess that helps increase speed of reading.
Yes. As they're reading those oral reading fluency passages, they are written on grade level. So they should be able to read it without decoding. However, they're going to encounter some words that they have not seen before. For example, one of them had the name of a country on it, and I can't remember exactly what it was, but our students weren't necessarily familiar with the name of that country. So rather than sounding it out sound by sound, in those grades, we would look for them to kind of chunk it. So if the word were Alaska, they might say Alaska, rather than a sound by sound.
And when they read words, how can you tell they're comprehending what they read?
Well, we ask questions afterwards, so that is part of the oral reading fluency. There are follow-up questions, and it begins with just tell me everything you remember about that story, and we're looking for if they can recount the story in order with correct details.
Dr. Pelosi, what's the most populated grade in the district?
Well, most of our grade levels in the district are around 5, I'd say 554. But I can get you that breakdown.
No, I mean, I'm just curious. I was thinking
that's generally speaking,
maybe
each grade level's around that area.
Because most of the kindergarten classes I see are full.
Yes.
So either kindergarten, first grade, or second grade, you would think. Thank you.
On slide 4, where you had a link to an assessment calendar, and on that assessment calendar, there was this little asterisk up there, I think, of that it was the DESA requirements for dyslexia diagnostic testing. So that was the PASS and the CORE and the DSA, I think.
Yes.
So are those done, or how does that happen? Are all students kindergarten? I should probably look more at your assessment calendar
That's
and see
okay.
when everything
But
is done.
yes, I
But-
think I understand your question. All students are given those assessments as required by state law. So the way that we set up our calendar is we list everything that is required by state law, and then we list the assessment that we'll be using to meet that requirement.
Okay, thank you. And I love the way that you, in your presentation, you had what impacted the data. And then you put the strategies that were being used. I loved seeing that, and I also love seeing the next steps and the district support. What you're doing to try and help improve this. I know we saw some real gains with that 4th and 5th grade, and not so much with the 3rd grade. Hopefully we'll see a change on that, but now those 3rd graders are moving up to 4th grade, so we'll see how that comes out. But anyway, the other question was, the state provides some extra help in reading. Do we have somebody that comes in?
We do. We have assigned literacy coaches from the State Department, I believe of 6.
Do they target certain grades, or they just go wherever you
target
want?
certain schools, schools that would be in a certain level of school improvement, like 7th Street, Boone Park, Glenview. Give those as
They're not
examples.
particularly targeting a certain grade. They're just helping at all
Well,
levels.
within, yes,
Oh, they-
that grade, yes,
K3?
within K3.
Okay.
Yep.
And
Okay.
we do collaborate with them, so it's not like they're doing work in isolation.
Right.
Correct.
We want to know in North Little Rock School District, what are you doing? Yeah,
Right.
so is it aligning to what our, vision and focus?
Right. I didn't know if we could say, well, our 3rd grade here might need some extra help because I'm like at the middle of the year. I guess you were seeing maybe there wasn't as much progress going on as you were seeing for your 4th and
Yes.
5th grade.
And through the
Maybe-
training that we did in June, it was very eye-opening, some things that the teachers didn't realize that they were supposed to be doing. So by doing that training and spending some more time with me, we got excellent reviews based on that training. The teachers do have to give us feedback, and we're able to see that without their names, but we can see what it is that they liked or disliked or things that we need to improve on. And as a whole, it was very positive, and they said, we learned more from this training than we have in years. So that was really good to hear.
That's awesome. That's wonderful. And that just shows you how important training and professional development is for our teachers.
Yes.
And I think all of us on this board know that and how important it is. Thank you.
Thanks.
Ms. West.
Very good presentation by both of you. I need to delve more into this, the testing calendar, because I've been kind of confused as far as our testing schedule, what tests we do offer and what we're not offering now, and when we're offering it. So I need to get a better grasp of that. But I feel confident that what we're seeing as far as the data, as far as our kindergartners and 1st grade area, that we're gonna start making that shift and that change. I feel that we have some strong numbers as it relates to our kindergarten students, and once they start matriculating through the elementary level, I do believe that those numbers will start turning around. So I'm excited about that component. But at the same time, being that we have those 3rd and 4th graders now, where we are, we have to just try to help them improve where they are to make them stronger and better readers going into the junior high level. And then, just kind of go back to help showing the kids that books and reading is cool and it's fun and it's necessary and it's important. I mean, whereas I grew up with a library at home, everybody doesn't have that. And I do understand that. And, you don't really have those type parents now. If you're bored, go get a book. If you're bored, if you don't have anything to do, read a book. So, I used to tell my kids that all the time. You want something to do? Go read a book. Go learn something new today. But I'm excited, where the tide is shifting now. So I appreciate the work going into all of that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I appreciate us even presenting K2 data because we have to. And I keep saying we cannot take our eyes off K2 data because K2 is that foundational grade, and it's just like building a house on a shaky foundation. So it seems like I got it, but by the time I get to third grade, the house comes crumbling down. That's because they didn't have those words to word recognition and automaticity. So in third grade, they need to expend a lot of their energy just with the comprehension, not actually sounding out words, but just reading words automatically.
Thank you for reiterating that. The foundation, that is so important. K through 2, building that foundation, and then just like what you said, building a house, we have to have a sturdy foundation. It's even scripture. We won't go there. So I wanted you to, Ms. Carmen, kind of reiterate, what do our parents need to do this summer? So now that school's out, what do we need to do? Because we see the literacy screener. We've seen there was great growth in Ridge Road, Lakewood, Meadow Park, and Indian Hills. Fourth and fifth grade, there were great growth there. And I saw your growth in first grade and kindergarten. That's awesome. So let's keep building on this, even though we're out of school. So what do our parents need to do at home?
Well, there are great programs going on right now at Lehman Library. So if you want to get your kids involved in that, obviously it's free. You can get in there, check out books, get them a library card, and then there's lots of different activities that they do as well during the summer. So that would be something great. If you're not able to do that and you don't have a lot of books at home, but your kids like to play on tablets, there are websites and apps as well where they can read online for free. One of the ones that I like the most is called getepic.com. Many of our teachers have a free account that you can put in that teacher code, but you can also set up a home account as well. They can read books on there. They can listen to books being read to them and follow along on the page. There's also audio books, and there are videos where they will learn different science topics.
Okay. Is there a way that we can send that out to the parents, maybe in the top 5 or a weekly report or something? Because that's just something that maybe just put that information in their hands and just kind of reiterate throughout the summer, hey, this is what we kind of need you to do. Or not that we kind of need, we need you to do this.
Yes.
We need to continue growth and the foundation being laid. So it's going to take all of us, the parents included in that.
We can also give you guys, we created a front and back info sheet with some different book titles that we would recommend. So on one side, it's books that are great for K2, and on the back, books that are good for 3 through 5. And you'll see all different types of books on that list that you might like to check out with your child.
That's awesome. Also, just want to kind of reiterate, also, we've got those mini book libraries. Valerie, do we have a map of, we need a map of all those little mini
free
book libraries. Yeah, the
That's
little
a
free
bus.
libraries.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, those little houses.
We need one of those. I know there's one at Crestwood Elementary, and I know Lakewood Park has one.
There's one outside of Boone Park.
Yes, and there's one at Boone Park. Just
Over by the football stadium.
yeah. Well, that's. Is there one over there? Maybe so. So anyway, yeah, we need a little map.
And all of our
where
elementary
parents can go
students
and
have
get free books.
They have these like mailbox things outside of the schools that are full of books as well. So there's plenty of opportunity
Say that again.
to get some books. There are mailboxes outside of each elementary school that are full of books that you can take and just keep. You don't have to return them.
Good job.
Well, Lehman Library also has Rover, the bookmobile that goes out into all the neighborhoods of North Little Rock. So that also is something that they can participate in this summer.
Offhand, real quick, Madam Williams, do you know of anything that could possibly help, like maybe parents as far as literacy, like a website or whatever, as far as literacy skills, if they maybe wanted to get some help for themselves? Because what I have, let me just say it like this, I have found that sometimes some students can't get help at home because they don't have anybody to help them. Right. So what are like some websites that could possibly help with maybe adult literacy?
One thing Dr. Paluski and I have had this conversation along with Krista Barker. Again, when I said teaching reading or learning how to read is pretty difficult. I could just real quickly, as a third grade teacher, I had an open classroom. So with the open classroom, my parents who could not read, they always pretended that they were coming to my classroom to check on their child. But in hindsight, what they were really doing was coming in, listening to my instruction. So we need to, as a district, I would recommend offering those classes to, parents who may want to go back to get their GED, who may want to go back, because we can't teach what we don't know. So
Exactly.
you can't tell me to help my child, and I don't know how to read myself.
I firmly believe in that, and I mean, I think too that's kind of the reason why sometimes we maybe have a low turnout parent-teacher conferences, because I feel as though, in what I have spoke to some parents, and the reason why they don't come or they don't participate in schools is because they are not strong readers or can't read themselves. And so therefore they kind of just stay away, because either A, they don't want to embarrass their child, or they don't want to embarrass themselves. So we have to try to maybe wrap around the whole family, if you will. Wrap around services. Hello.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, are there other questions to them? Okay, first, Ms. Chris and Ms. Langston, I heard your report that you made last month, and it all gelled in
Yes.
that you're telling the truth. And
I tried to, Ms.
because,
Williams.
I mean, I read it, and it's validated.
Okay.
And I really appreciate that, and I appreciate your excitement that you have
Thank you.
about doing what you're doing. And Ms. Langston, I never heard you do a report as profound, but it was very good. And a part of Dr. Paluska's 100-day plan, he had a dream that he was tired. He did not no longer want the kindergartens and pre-Ks babysitting atmosphere, but they would learn how structured to gain knowledge of how to read with the phonics. And I can tell you this, I am thoroughly impressed. And in due season, I know then what, maybe 2 years, when those that you got on the foundation, our students will be excelling everywhere.
I believe that.
And again, we want to thank you for coming before us. And question I have to ask you all, is there anything that you need that you didn't ask the board for
Not at this time.
as a recommendation? And what you can do is go to Dr. Paluski, and he will in terms come back to the board to find out whatever your needs are. It will be feasible because we're trying to educate our children. And thank you.
Thank you so much.
I know, I'll get the last one. And again, I want to brag on them and Ms. Cruz that's here. This is our whole literacy department for this entire school district, and I know when people talk about investment in central office, the reason we're moving is because of these ladies, their vision. You just listen to them talk, and their understanding of literacy is impressive, and their work that gets translated to teachers. I just personally want to thank each of them, and Ms. Cruz is also here as well, and Dr. White within the department, because I'm going to go all the way back as the last thing I'm going to say. If you remember all the way back when we had the curriculum management audit report, I believe it's on page 37. There was if you look at the national model around having a literacy program in the United States, there's, I think, 15 or 20 characteristics. We got a score of 0. We did not have the fundamental pieces, and I want to thank them for putting these pieces into place for our school district, because it's making a difference because of your leadership. So thank you.
Thank you.
And don't forget what you said in June. You found out some weren't doing what they're supposed to do. You learn experience, and I think the more you are monitored. And let me tell you, I'm 100% loving the little groups, every school that we've gone to.
Small group.
They have been in small groups.
We've moved.
And that is so, I think it's so important to our students.
We're getting there.
The group of 4 or 5, and they really excited hands going up. But again, we want to thank you for your services. And know that lady
the
sitting
key.
back there in the back. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Madam President, members of our board, our next information item is 11.2, 2024-2005 Child Nutrition Contracts. Again, something that we do every year, and no stranger, our fabulous and wonderful Director of Food Nutrition Services, Miss Dennis.
Thank you, thank you. Good evening, good evening.
There you go.
There you are.
Maybe, maybe.
Hang on, it's almost there.
All right, there we go.
Can you advance? Okay,
Yes,
good.
yes. Okay, so purpose is really just to talk about our annual child nutrition contract bid document process. So, of course, we utilize the federal thresholds that the USDA sets. For school year 24-25, those have not been released yet, so when that occurs, we just use the current school district. So anything over $24,800 that we purchase, we go out to formally bid. And the foundation of that is just those federal meal patterns in regards to why we do that. So when we set out our timeline, we emailed and publicly posted on the website on May 6th and gave the vendors until June 17th at 9 a.m. to respond to those for that minimum federal regulation time period. The first bid that we put out is our prime vendor bid. That's basically everything that we purchase for our program food-wise outside of milk and bread. But the vendors that we reached out to, Cisco, Benny Keith, PFG, and Tankersley Foods, we also, again, publicly posted those in case we had other interested parties. Next is bread. Again, we sent those to Cisco, Benny Keith, PFG, Tankersley Foods, Bimbo, and Dudley's Bakery are some more local bakeries in the in the area that we sent those to, also publicly posted. And then milk, we sent to all those same vendors and then added in Highland Dairy for those. And then this is one that doesn't reach those federal thresholds, but we've found that to get the proper type of cleaning that we need for our Ventahood systems, we've found that a signed and sealed contract gets what we need. So we did put our Ventahood cleaning out for bid. We reached out to these 3 companies and then again publicly posted that as well.
Very good.
So that's where we are. Questions on that process?
Ms. Walker,
No questions. I'm good.
Ms. West?
I have no questions. I just want to maybe put this out as an idea as far as when children are eating lunch or maybe breakfast, if they decide that they put milk on their tray and it's unopened, are we taking that and putting it maybe back for a different time period? Or because I see a lot of it going in the trash sometimes, is there a process that maybe we can maybe put that to the side, maybe use that maybe for later, or they can use that maybe for a snack, or how does that work?
Yes, so it's kind of multifactorial. So number one, we do have some individuals that are maybe monitoring and helping the kids come through the line, and they're saying, don't forget your milk, get your milk, get your milk, get your juice. Well, it's not a requirement. It's only if a student wants it. So that's fact number one. And then number two, yes, we have share tables. We've ran into some issues a little bit with share tables in our schools, maybe some unauthorized individuals coming and dumping share tables and purses and bags and taking it out to our cars. And so we've handled those situations a little bit. But we do have the share tables up and going. It's just a matter of monitoring and making sure that it goes back to the students.
Is that something that maybe towards the beginning of the year, or maybe during an in-service period, we can kind of maybe reiterate that, and that way we don't have a lot of waste?
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that's all I had.
Ms. McLean?
No questions.
No questions. Good job.
Good job. What is your budget?
My budget is for next year. It's around $2.5 million. It's $2,527,000 and some change.
I know year before last you gave us a clear-cut budget in writing where we could see everything. Although you had these expenditures, that's why we were so impressed with you. So next time you come in, break it down.
On my
and
action
show it.
item.
Gotcha?
Yes, ma'am.
And that was a very good
do
report, and
that.
thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you, Ms. Dennis.
Next.
And our last information item is 11.3, our transportation updates, and that is Ms. Coleman. And we've had food and nutrition do an update. We've had maintenance, and as we prepare, we want to turn it over to our fabulous Director of Transportation, Ms. Coleman.
Hello, good afternoon, well, good evening rather, Madam President of the Board, Dr. Paluski. I'm gonna make this quick. Today I just would like to update you all just to kind of let you know what we've had going on and what we're doing. Of course, we're always busy. I first wanted to bring to, I'm sure you already know, but I just wanted to kind of also thank you for approving this. Ms. Randall, our 504 coordinator, she also does our disciplinary. She's our disciplinary coordinator for our transportation department, which means that every time a student is written up, whether it's on through the link or on paper, she has been dealing directly with our transportation disciplinary actions, and it has improved the driver's morale. It makes them feel more supported, and it has also caused more parent involvement, as you can imagine, because nobody wants to hear that their student is being disciplined or kicked off the bus, suspended. But I appreciate that, and again, the drivers as well. And overall, the behaviors have improved. We also did the Go Red grant, if you all remember. And please forgive me for when I redid the slides, my top line is off, but the bottom number is for sure correct. And I just want to thank Ms. Heather Rhodes Newbern for helping assist us with that grant, and we will be moving forward with additional grants. In March, over spring break, we took 8 buses to Tulsa, Oklahoma to have air installed. That was a fun little trip for us. First time some of them have done that before, traveled that far on a school bus. So that was a little, like I said, a little venture for us. As of right now, that takes our fleet to 76% as being air equipped. We also had our state audit. We passed with flying colors. And again, you can go through that list. That is all of the things that they check for in each one of our drivers' files, whether you're a para, helping, or one of our dual drivers, mechanics, anyone, even the coaches, anyone that is listed to drive one of our school buses. This is what the state checks for. Our end of the year staff report, this is just a summary of the number of drivers we have, aides, as well as all of our routes. What we're doing right now is we have 15 drivers, 6 bus aides, and 30 routes that we're running. That does not include our summer Parks and Rec. We also do field trips for the Boys and Girls Club, Crestwood Recreation Club, program, as well as there are some athletic charters. We finished today with our second CDL class for the summer. And next week, all of those that pass and go down and actually pass behind the written exam, they'll begin behind the wheel next week. We started also training for Stop Finder. Stop Finder is an add-on app to our current routing system, and what Stop Finder does basically is it opens up communication between transportation and the parent. What the parents will get is an invite through their email. They'll be able to sign up for their student. They'll download that app, and they'll be able to communicate through the app directly with us when they're looking for a bus. And it'll be real-time changes. So, for example, if we add a student that's outside the zone and it increases or decreases their time or their time change, they'll be able to see it in real time. We plan to launch that officially the second 9 weeks. The reason for the delay is because this is a new app. The first 9 weeks, we want to make sure that we have our routes correct, we get majority of our students, and things will flow more smoothly. We plan to also look into more. These are just a couple of the grants that we've looked into. We plan to start doing some applications towards the end of July. In those applications, we do want to purchase new special needs buses. This year, I think we've probably transported more wheelchair students than we have. At one point, we have 5 wheelchair buses, and at one point we had 4. And because of the age of those, towards the end, We hadn't used those in so long. 2 of them began having experience in mechanical issues. So that is our goal. We've already requested quotes on new school buses that will be wheelchair accessible. That kind of wraps it up for me. Any questions?
Ms. Walker?
I just want to come back to that Stop Finder app. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you. Put that right there.
Did you mean thank you?
One more time. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
She made me forget my question.
Put that in the top 5.
Going back to the Stop Finder app, when you were mentioning about the parents can communicate real time, is when you say communicate back with us, is that communicating with the driver, and are they're not communicating while they're driving, or are they communicating back to the office?
They're communicating to the office.
Gotcha. Okay.
So
I
it
just
won't
want to
be
make sure
email.
that's out there, that that it goes back to the
Yes,
office.
ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am. It'll
They're
be-
going to keep their eyes on the road.
Yes,
Gotcha.
ma'am.
Because the wheels on the bus go round and round.
That's if the route's
excuse
being
me.
delayed.
Ms. McLean?
Valerie, excuse me. Would you like me to reclaim my time?
I was going to say, would you like to finish your comment? Go ahead.
Well, it was coming back to the app. That way, if the driver is late and there's a student still waiting on the bus, we are communicating to the parent of what the issue or concern is. Hey, we're en route. Hey, we're coming.
Yes.
Whatever it may be. So that's what it was.
Well,
Right, just always recognize the chair before you speak. Okay.
obviously, this app is a game changer for the district.
Yes.
But I wouldn't, I did Life 360 with my daughter this summer, and so that she can see where I am and I can see where she is. Of course, you have to have your phone with you, right? But I totally get it, how this is going to be, and I know, over the years that I was teaching, we always had parents calling the school, where's the bus? And parents' concern reaches a high level, and I just think that it's going to be awesome. Now, did I hear you say you're going to start at the second 9 weeks using that app?
Yes, ma'am. During the first 9 weeks, it's the first 9 weeks for us. Students are still moving around. They're still coming into the district, and changes are constantly being made. Drivers are actually getting out there driving the routes. They see that changes need to be made, so we want to give ourselves time to really, and this is something new to us as a district. We don't want to just throw ourselves out there to the wolves.
I think that's awesome that you're doing that. That's a good lead time, 9 weeks, to try and get
Yes,
things
ma'am.
rolling, and then you can introduce that. But I can't imagine that our parents wouldn't be absolutely thrilled that they're now going to have the ability to look and see where that bus is. And I mean, that kind of leads me to this next step. Do we ever see our students maybe scanning their IDs when they get onto a bus?
I have checked into that. That does require more technology. And just to clarify, the first piece of this will only be communication. Then we will move into GPS. But the point of this, the biggest part of this is we don't really have the capability to send a group of students a message. We don't have the route. I'm just going to throw this out, 165. We don't have the ability right now to just say, to send a message to parents of 165. What I had to do was create individually spreadsheets and upload them to ThrillShare. But in order for those to be accurate, you have to constantly change those because they change daily. So this first piece will only be communication, but it's still going to be a game changer. The second piece will be GPS, where you will be able to look on a map, and it will notify you once your child's bus gets within a certain zone.
Oh, okay. So in the beginning, it'll just be they can communicate.
Yes, ma'am.
With the office.
Yes,
if
ma'am.
they
And
have
they'll
questions.
see real-time changes. So if their pickup today is 7:15 and tomorrow we have a change and next week it will be 7:30, they'll be able to see that daily to get
So
those
that will be
updates.
sent out to them.
Yes, ma'am.
Through this app.
Yes, ma'am.
But then later, it will be GPS where they can actually see where the bus is
Yes,
and its
ma'am.
route. Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
great.
Mr. Steele?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Director. Good report. let me say in honor of the legendary Bernadette Coleman, Bernadette Conley, thank you for the air on the, how many, 8 buses? Thank you for the air. I know you've heard from Ms. Conley, and as well as you, Superintendent, that she and as well as many of us think that's really critical. So my question is, how do we get from the 76% to a little more, say over 90 to 100% of air-conditioned buses?
We keep replacing. We have to keep putting out the old and bringing in the new, which costs a little, you know, and that's where these grants will come in helpful in reducing our cost. Last year, as you saw, and you can go back, that saved us a little bit, around $70,000, replacing those 2 buses and with the grant. So we gotta keep, you know, replacing, taking out the old and replacing them with new buses. That's gonna be crucial. And that's also gonna help with our fleet, to keep them new, hold down the cost of repairs, breakdowns, and so forth. So replacement is gonna be key.
So buses that are slightly used, we can put air conditioning in those buses.
The buses that we did put the air on, our mechanics, they, you know, did an evaluation of all of them, put that in perspective as well as the year and make and model of those buses. Those were the only 8 that really were able to be, you know, have air installed. Most of our fleet outside of that is too old to, you know, we would start experiencing other mechanical failures. So it's just best at this point. We did what we could. Now at this point, it's time to start replacing.
And it's going to continue to grow.
Yes, sir.
Good.
Yes, sir.
It's critical. When I went to school many years ago, in September we were wearing sweaters, but now it could be 100 degrees.
That's
so
true.
Thank you for your leadership.
Thank you.
Other board members, did you all have other comments?
None at this time, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Other comments? Okay, first, Ms. Coleman, I personally want to thank you and your leadership. This is the first peaceful year that we've had in this district concerning buses. No complaints, and we're grateful for your leadership because it has existed, but I just want to say thank you. And also, Mr. Steele knows about the air on the buses. If the funds weren't there and we hadn't sold them 2 other heat buses, we couldn't have had that good air. But there's a will, that's a way, and putting prioritizing things for the good of our students so that they can be comfortable, because they say, good thing they're not going to school now. But again, thank you for your report, and thank you, no complaints coming to the board. And you're so manable. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. I haven't heard that in a long time. Say it again.
Yes,
ma'am. You can be excused.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms.
Yes,
Coleman.
thank you so much.
Come on back. We just playing, but you like to have fun.
Okay.
She
we'll
on
move-
one a night.
Yep, we'll move right into action items. We'll just keep going. Madam President, members of our Board of Education, the first action item is 12.1, the employment of personnel. The superintendent recommends the employment of personnel as discussed in executive closed session.
Madam Chair, go on. Madam Chair, I so move that we accept 12.1, employment of personnel.
Second.
It has been moved and properly second that we accept the recommendation from the superintendent. 12.1. Any discussion? None. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. So the motion is carried.
Thank you, Madam President, members of our Board of Education. The next action item is 12.2, 2024-2025, new materials of instruction recommendation, which does include reading intervention at the secondary level. And I will ask, I know we have a brief overview of that, so I would ask Ms. Cruz just to come forward. And we'll just go over, you remember the recommendation And we had to get some clarity from ADE as it relates to Read 180, but I know that Ms. Cruz did put together, and I just wanted her to give just a high-level overview of what our plan is as it relates to Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3 instruction. And I will also say that I personally have spoken with ADE regarding the plan. They do not have any concerns once that we've talked about our materials of instruction at each one of those levels, and certainly applaud us for our Tier 2 intervention that had been missing, especially those students that don't qualify for dyslexia, but I'll let our resident expert do just a high-level overview
Yes.
of our secondary level.
Thank you.
You had already made the
Yes, ma'am.
report. Was there an addendum to this?
No, ma'am. I didn't know if there's any
Just
questions. We
this.
can just. Yep. That's the reading intervention objective day.
I added the plan that we came up with after the clarification. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for having me here again. I'm sorry.
Okay.
And what this is, 3 things that I just want to really point out that we need to clarify is that it is going to be taught by a teacher. And as I mentioned before, it is an additional class period because currently we have the students on grade level and then the students that qualify for dyslexia intervention. Our students in the middle have nothing, and we want to give them that additional support, and that's what this materials of instruction is for, is to give those students in that middle of the road, because we are doing the screenings that my partners in crime, they talked about, all those screeners, and as I think Ms. Langston mentioned, the kids that are coming into 6th grade, we have all those screeners, and that gives us that information to give them the additional screeners, and they will be screened for everything else. If they don't qualify for dyslexia services, dyslexia intervention, they're still below grade level, and we have to help them. We have to get them up to speed. That's what this is doing. I included in here the chart. It has 4 scenarios of what the students are and what they need and where they would go. Tier 1 is basically grade level. It is with our ELA materials that we adopted here, and we have seen pretty good growth this year. And then Tier 2 is going to be this reading intervention, which is for those students in that middle of the road that Dr. Paluski was we talked about. And then the dyslexia intervention, it stays the same. We didn't touch that. They have their program of instruction, their services and all that. This is for the students that in the middle of the road that are still behind, and we need to get them up to speed. It's an additional course in middle school and high school. And that's really all. Did I miss something?
So,
It's just the action item to approve.
anyone have a question? Did you open the site?
I did, yes, ma'am, I have it.
Yes,
I do
ma'am.
have one follow-up question. Hypothetically, if this doesn't pass, what do we do for those that we need to fill in the gap? I mean, if we don't have this, what do we have in place in order to capture those individuals?
Right now, we don't have a curriculum for them. The honest truth is we don't.
Okay.
We have just the grade level, the standards-based, my perspectives that we use, and then we have the students that are more severe that have those services. Currently, we don't have anything for that middle of the road students, and we added that course next year in the master schedules.
Very good, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Were there other questions from the board? Okay, at this time, we need to have a motion.
I move that we accept the recommendation that we adopt these new materials of instruction as recommended.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second that we accept the reading intervention for grades 6 through 10. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None, so the motion is carried.
Thanks for your leadership, Ms. Cruz.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
The next action item is 12.3, Community Eligibility Provisions, CEP participation. The superintendent recommends to approve the Community Eligibility Provisions, CEP participation, as presented before you in the attachment.
I move that we accept the community eligibility provision.
Second.
Second.
It has been moved and properly second that we accept the eligibility provisions, CEP. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None, so the motion is carried.
Thank you, Madam President, members of our Board of Education. Next action item is 12.4, 2024-2005 Assurances and GEPA Statement Programs under ESSA and IDEA, which is required by the Department of Education. So the superintendent recommends to approve the 24-25 assurances GEPA statements program under ESSA and IDEA.
Madam President,
Yes.
I so move that we accept the annual fiscal year 25 ESSA IDEA assurances and GEPA statement as required by the ADE for approval.
Second.
It has been moved and properly seconded that we accept, which one is it?
12.4. Yes, ma'am.
12.4, 2024-25 assurance and GEPA statement program under ESSA and IDEA. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. So the motion is carried.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the Board of Education. Next action item is 12.5, the Logic Front VX Rail District Server Renewal. This is the for the district's network system licensing and support for Logical Front for our server system. I know that sounds very technical, and I am certainly not Mr. Riddle, but I do recommend, based upon the recommendation. Is there anything before Mr. Riddle that you want to just say to the board, or if they have questions?
Presentation, y'all want to see it? If not, then
I read it,
Yes.
Chair. I read it, but I do have follow-up. So we're still in the process of moving everything over to the server room or the core part,
yes, we're in the
correct?
process of moving the core, which handles our network interface
Right,
from
right.
Windstream to the state over to the high school.
Yes.
Which tentatively July 11th from Windstream. I haven't got confirmation from them. As soon as I do, we'll work with that date they give us.
Well, I knew there were lots of talk about moving, so I just didn't know, and not to be ugly, but I couldn't tell from the presentation if it was yes or a no, so I just wanted to follow up.
It was intentionally a little bit vague because
Yeah.
it's a tentative date on
Okay.
it. Yeah.
It's all good. No worries. Thank you for that.
Okay.
I'm all set.
Any questions? Oh.
No.
Any questions? Would you explain to me that you said the initial cost was $711,000 total cost over 5 years, and then you came down here and gave me the data for 1 year and gave the data
Yes, ma'am.
from
So it's
years from
broken
2 to
over-
5?
And so it's broken up over 5 years. The total cost is $711,677 over the 5 years. The first year is $470,000, and that's to physically replace the server with the support for that year. And the next years 2 through 5 are the service support contract per year.
Okay, you just broke it down.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair, I have a quick question. And let me ask you this, and I couldn't really tell from this because, again, I'm not technical on that capacity at all. But moving all of this and transferring, do we anticipate any type of downtime that?
Most likely, when that time comes, we will get clear information on when it will be, and we'll try to work around district hours in the evenings and nights if we have to make sure that works.
Okay.
So we'll minimize
We're also trying to plan on a Thursday. We're not open on a Friday, so we got Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So we're trying not to disrupt any of district operations.
Try to be
Okay.
really as disruptive as possible.
Perfect.
That's the only question I had. Thank you.
Ms. McLean?
No
This is
questions.
good. Okay, and thank you for your leadership, and thank you for being named the new director.
Yeah,
of
just
technology.
just getting ready to say that, Ms.
And
Williams. So
and we want to thank you. Your service has just been marvelous. And you have any questions for us?
I do not. If y'all have any for me, just let me know. I'll be happy to answer them.
Okay.
I know you want a Chromebook report at some point, and we're working on gathering data for that now.
Okay, and thank you
Okay.
for a vision. You're excused now. Dr. P?
I move that we accept the superintendent's recommendation to approve the Logical Front VX Rail District Server renewal.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second that we accept the Logical Rail District's server renewal. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. So the motion is carried. Thank you. Dr. Poliska?
Yes, ma'am. You have special meeting minutes. You have 12.6, 12.7, 12.8, 12.9, 12.10 of special meeting minutes.
Madam Chair.
Can we batch those?
You can, yeah, I think.
Madam
you
Chair.
could bundle.
I so move that we accept 12.6, 12.7, 12.8, 12.9, and 12.10 of special meeting minutes.
Second.
And
It has
regular.
been moved and properly second that we
And
accept-
regular meetings, minutes, sorry.
Okay. That we accept 12.6 to 12.10, special meeting and regular meetings. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None, so the motion is carried. Thank you.
Madam President, we now at the consent agenda item, which is 13.1 bank reconciliation, 12.2 net legal balance worksheet, 13.3 monthly financial reports, 13.4 business office items, 13.5 payment of regular bills, 13.6 facility use request, and then 13.7, which is the approval of the consent agenda.
Madam President, I move that we accept the consent agenda of the 13.1 bank reconciliation, 13.2 net legal balance worksheet, 13.3 monthly financial reports, 13.4 business office items, 13.5 payment regular bills, 13.6 facilities use request, and 13.7 approval of this consent agenda.
Got a second? Okay,
Second.
It's been moved and properly second that we accept the consent agenda 13.1 through 13.7. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None, so the motion is carried. All right. Acknowledgements. Mr. Steele, you want to acknowledge anybody, anything? Students, schools, anything?
Want to acknowledge you, Madam President, for your continued leadership on this board. Thank you for all you've done. Thank you for your service. We talk about, earlier we're talking about Jones High School, and I think those type of things are important for young people to learn about Jones High School and other schools and other people who have been dedicated to our education system, like yourself and like yourself, Ms. Valerie, all you do, and then to come back and serve on this board, that is to be commended.
Thank you. Ms. McLean?
I'm just so impressed tonight with this group of teachers that we had come up here that had gone through the training for aspiring leaders. And I know that we'll have more to come that will want to do that and join the next cohort, which will start, I'm assuming, this fall.
Yes, I think we're going to start in this summer. We've started the identification process of identifying some aspiring leaders right now to encourage them to apply. But yes, our goal will be every semester that we graduate a cohort. And I am also proud, not to jump in here to that, but many of those young ladies have been promoted already into leadership positions.
Well, I know we
Internally,
have.
from our own.
I know we have teachers out there, and I want you to step up to the plate because I know you're ready, and I know that this training will do the trick, and I hope that they take advantage of that.
Ms. West?
I just want to of course, our inaugural graduating cohort group. And then I just want to real quick really mention we had a good friend in Arkansas School Board Association to pass away. Mr. Jerry Daniels from Warren School District was a good friend of our school board. He was also on the board of directors for Arkansas School Board Association, and he was a master board member. He had the Pinnacle Award, President's Award, and something else. But he had been on the board for over 30 years and president of the school board for over 18. So we'll definitely just want to acknowledge that.
Ms. Walker?
He will be missed. Senior parents, we need your involvement. Please check with social media and call another senior parent to reach out. We've got lots of things coming ahead. And then parents, this summer, just please place a book in your students' hands. We need all parents to help us get our students on that foundation and stay on that foundation.
Acknowledgement. We want to thank teachers, parents for supporting us this past school year. And we would like to say thank you again that you will support us in trying to build a middle school for our young people.
Yes,
And because it's needed. And we want to say we love you, and it's nothing you can do about it. And we'll do whatever you say, and we thank people like Mix Huggins, who has a point. We appreciate this. We are open board, and we, as a board, we've been able to listen and acknowledge this. And we thank you, whoever have public comments. This is what this board is all about. We can't solve all of our problems by ourselves, but with your support, we can. And we want to thank the superintendent for a job well done this year.
Thank you, Madam
And thank
President.
all of our administrators. You know, Dr. Hooper, I know you've had to be at every meeting, but your assistant supervisor, I want to commend you on your work ethic. And I do miss your newspaper. You put out 3 and you stopped putting them out. I read them last night, and it was called the, what was the name of it? So, but
She's-
we,
Yeah.
but we
She's-
appreciate
she's-
those communications.
She's
And
doing
you
a
kept
lot.
us abreast, and all we can do is say thank you. We don't have the money or the everything to give everybody. And teachers, we are proud of you. Thank you. And I'm just so happy about the progress our students have made.
You couldn't say
Boy,
it
that's
better.
awesome. And thank you over here in the corner
Ms. Rhonda.
for a great year, Ms. Colquitt.
Yeah.
We appreciate you. We appreciate custodians, everybody.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
parents, please take care of your children. Please.
And read a book to them.
Right, a
Mad-
book.
Madam Chair, and I agree with everything, I do also want to recognize our president, Ms. Temple. I know she hasn't been in the last couple board meetings, but she lost her mother unexpectedly, and I know that she would just appreciate all of her thoughts and prayers and your leadership in her absence until she returns.
Yes, and thank you for a great board who've worked together so well this year. Ooh, thank you. If there's nothing else, but we get, our next board meeting is Thursday, June the 27th.
July. Or I'm sorry, there's special.
It
You're
says
right,
Thursday,
special.
June 27th here.
Special board meeting.
He
Special
stands
board
corrected.
meeting. And then board workshop is Thursday, that's July 2nd, and our regular board meeting will be July 11th. Okay, if there's nothing else, may I have a motion to close the official meeting?
So moved.
Okay. All in
Second.
favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?